back home here on the bike, talking a little more about the new tax act. One big beautiful bill. Talk a little bit more about this on the employer rather than the employee side. First item up, the old employer retention tax credit that came about during COVID. They've actually finally said enough's enough. If you don't have it filed, you can no longer file them. Went back till January of 2024 and said, that's our cutoff date. Tells you what kind of backlog they have. But they're still working on them, so if you got it filed, someday you might actually get a check in the mail for that. Number 2 item on here for employers to worry about, the new tip credit, up to $25,000 per employee. Can exclude that tip income from their taxable income. On the employer side, it does have to be reported on the W-2. That's been on there for a while, so we have to continue to do that for employers. Might want to just touch base with your payroll processor on that, make sure you got that covered. One item we really don't know totally about is that these tips can only be excluded if you're in an industry they say is normally a tipped industry. The question gets to be, does the employer have any responsibility to let the employee know if they are or are not in a tipped industry? And secondly, is that just going to be left up to the employee and his tax prep person? Got a few people coming up here. All right, second item here that affects the W-2 is the overtime exclusion. So now employees can exclude up to $12,500 per person, per taxpayer, from their income for overtime wages. When they say overtime wages, they're talking about just the extra for overtime. So standards to pay time and a half, it's only that and half that's excludable, which is going to make it a little fun for the employers and the payroll department. How do we go back and find that? Because we're going back to the first of the year, 2025, to find these overtime wages. We're literally looking for this information for 6 months before the bill was ever even signed into law. So we got to try to figure that out. So that's one you really want to contact your payroll provider and make sure that they've got what they need, or are you going to have to start doing some work and figure out how much qualified overtime wages they have. Another fun thing is they're in effect for the years 2025 through 2028. There's a 4-year window here. We'll see what happens if they hang on there or they go away. Got some time there to figure that one out. Next item, paid family and medical leave. There is a federal credit for that. For those of us in Minnesota, starting 2026, we're adding an additional tax from the employer and the employee side. This credit has nothing to do with that. So just because you're paying in that tax on the Minnesota paid family leave doesn't mean you get this credit. This has to be a plan where you as the employer pay the wages to the employee for sick and family time. You can get a credit for that. They made that credit is now permanent. Next one, employer provided daycare. So if you as the employer provide in-house daycare for your employees, you can get a credit to help supplement that cost of providing that service. Coming up on your left, what's sort of nice about that one is they did increase what percentage of your expenses you can consider. They've indexed it for inflation. Next one, dependent care assistance program. Fancy name for the cafeteria plan. We'll have up to $5,000 of your wages set aside pre-tax to pay for daycare benefits. Been $5,000, so they finally raised that to up to $7,500. So that's definitely helpful. The other one they made permanent and actually increased the amount to $5,250 per year is the exclusion from income for the employees if you have a program to help reimburse for student loan payments. So they're making that a little nicer. Hopefully that'll help. So if you have an industry where it's a little hard to find employees, you need something for incentive, you could look at putting a program like that in place and giving them some extra income without the taxes. That brings me to my last little bit here. We'll get past these pups here, because you need. All right, my last one here, the bicycle commuting allowance. If you, myself, choose to commute a portion of your time by bike instead of drive, they allowed you to get reimbursed for some of your expenses. Well, they took that away from us. It wasn't a great big one. I think it was like $100 a month, but hey, it was something. Now that's gone. All right, that's all I got for the employer side. We'll find some new topics. If you're listening, you got a question or would like me to go over something, feel free to reach out and let me know. Be glad to help you out. Beautiful day out here. We call it daylight savings time, it'll be dark. That always makes it a little more interesting. Lots of people out today. Coming up behind you. Oh, no, you're good.